Right now at 5:30, bus driver shortages. As kids head back to school, CMS is working to make sure every student has a seat and every driver has a bus. Plus, sinkholes are popping up across the Queen City. The reason they keep forming. And still ahead, a new federal law is seeking solutions to stillbirths. How a local couple is working to make a change. WCNC Charlotte at 5:30 starts right now.
News that impacts you. You're watching WCNC Charlotte News at 5:30.
Good morning. Live pictures on this Friday morning from Lake Norman, 5:30 right now. It's going to be a humid day. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Sarah French. Ben has the morning off. Our team is standing by to get you ready for the day. Destiny Richards in for Chris Mulcahy with a look at your morning commute. But let's begin with Larry Sprinkle and a check on that WCNC weather impact forecast. Larry?
Hey, good morning. Let's take a view, a live view, in fact, from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, from our Mr. Sparky Carolina Camera Network on the Grand Strand. Things are okay out there. No major issues to talk about. In fact, let's go ahead and tell you what's happening temperature-wise in Myrtle Beach. It is 70 degrees in the breeze there, 72 at Charlotte. Our cool spot Boone checks in this morning at 61, 72 Columbia, South Carolina. Raleigh-Durham checks in 68 and fair skies there. Radar, nothing going on. It's a dry weather morning. No issues to talk about as we head through the morning hours. About 10 a.m. we're at 78 degrees. Middle of the afternoon we will be in the upper 80s. We'll check that full 7-day forecast coming up. Right now, let's get a full check on the Friday morning commute. Destiny Richards is here to tell us what's happening out there. How's it looking at the moment?
Well, right now we are focusing in on a serious accident in Gaston County near Gastonia. So if we zoom in here, we can see there is a serious accident that has the roadblock and the shoulder block on Bessemer City Road between I-85 and Northwest Boulevard. And if we zoom in really close here, this is exactly where that's at. So Northwest Boulevard is right here, and then we have I-85. So this implies that there was an injury involved in this accident. Hopefully we get some updates from Gaston County Emergency Management.
Well, it's a bumpy road to the start of the school year in Gaston County. This morning, we're learning some kids are waiting hours for the bus to come, so long they're missing the first bell. Parents say when asking for more information regarding the bus issue, the district says bus drivers are supposed to pick up elementary kids first, then come back for middle schoolers. But that wasn't communicated until parents started reaching out about the issue. We've reached out to Gaston County schools about the issue and have not heard back yet. And they're not the only ones experiencing transportation issues as Charlotte Mecklenburg schools, along with other districts, get ready to head back to school in a few weeks. Bus drivers still remain in high demand.
Right now, CMS is 82 drivers short, according to CMS Executive Director of Transportation, Adam Johnson. The district is trying to fill 35 bus driver vacancies. Another 47 drivers are on some sort of leave.
But we do have quite a few drivers in the pipeline to be hired. So it'll be very similar to the opening of school that we had last school year.
Transportation officials expect to have 10 more drivers currently in training come on board in time for the first day of school. The district's expecting thousands of more bus riders this year, which means they're working to make sure every student gets a ride for the first day of school.
We have a little over 104,000 students that are assigned for transportation this year.
That's an increase of more than 6,000 students registering for transportation compared to this time last year. Johnson says with the vacancies, there may be a 15 to 30-minute delay. CMS says for things to go smoothly this year, they ask parents to remind their students of their address and bus number.
If they could put a tag in their book bag or attach it to their backpack, that helps the driver know where the student should go.
Over in Ballantyne, we're getting a first look at the new high school there. It's been 2 years since crews broke ground, and it's set to open in just a few days. They will have freshmen, sophomore, and junior classes. Leaders say the new campus will ease overcrowding at 3 other CMS high schools. It has 100 classrooms with 25 students per class. Right now, they're adding the finishing touches on the sports facilities, classrooms, and a few common areas. Organizers say in total, the school cost $159 million to complete. Well, sinkholes have been popping up across the Charlotte area over the last few months. And this morning, city officials are giving us a better idea of how these holes are forming. Charlotte Stormwater Services says a broken storm drainage pipe caused the sinkhole, closing down part of Farmer Street in West Charlotte.
I'm very shocked to see a sinkhole that size in this area, but we did have a lot of rain just prior to it.
Charlotte Water tells us water system repairs like this are not uncommon, adding sinkholes are naturally occurring, especially where there is a lot of rainfall. A new law in South Carolina is aiming to protect children from sex trafficking in the state. Governor Henry McMaster held a ceremonial signing of a new law on Thursday, making child luring or persuading a child away from their home a criminal offense. Offenders could spend up to 10 years in prison. It also prevents child victims from being prosecuted for any actions while being trafficked. And there's some good news for drivers in Mooresville this morning. 6 months after the town's license plate agency closed, DMV officials have announced a new one will be taking its place. The new office is expected to open August 20th. If anyone needs to head to the DMV in the next few days, officials are recommending the offices in Concord, Huntersville, or Kannapolis. On the last day of the MLS transfer window, Charlotte FC is adding another player to its roster. The team acquiring attacking midfielder Pep Biel from a Greek football club through the end of the year, with an option to purchase him after that. He occupies a designated player spot. He scored 12 goals and had 8 assists for his team in Greece. He will likely not be available for the next match on the 24th due to the visa process taking up to 2 weeks. Meantime, head coach Dean Smith is looking ahead to how the team can improve. Smith says the 2 players signed will strengthen the Charlotte squad as the team sits in a playoff position with 9 matches still left in the regular season. Smith says the summer transfer window's closing date impacts MLS teams negatively because other leagues have longer transfer periods.
Pleased with the business that we've done. Disappointed on some of the ones that we've missed as well, but that's the way business goes.
Charlotte FC's next home game is August 24th against the New York Red Bulls. This morning, we're learning Carowinds season pass holders will be able to access a whole lot of new parks. This coming 6 weeks after the parent company of Carowinds merged with Six Flags. Starting January 6, 2025, gold or prestige pass holders that buy the all-park passport will get free entry and parking at 42 parks across North America. The park website shows add-ons start at $89. We've also learned Six Flags plans to upgrade and expand its food and beverage facilities across its parks next year. All right, Larry, what's that one thing we need to know about the weather today?
One thing includes 2 things. 75 at 9 a.m., 87 degrees at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Now, Destiny, what is the one thing about that commute this morning?
The one thing to know is that we are still keeping an eye on a serious accident in Gaston County, actually near Gastonia. And this is having a road and shoulder blocked at Bessemer City Road between I-85 and Northwest Boulevard. So if you're commuting through there, drive safely.
Still ahead on WCNC, Charlotte stuck in a foreign country without a passport. How a Greensboro man made it back home after days of traveling. Plus, looking to make a change for women who have stillbirths. The new federal law seeking solutions to help. And Hurricane Ernesto is getting stronger. We'll tell you where it's expected to hit next. And as we go to break, did you know it's a great day to laugh because it is National Tell a Joke Day. And what better way to celebrate than with a joke
Good.
for Larry Sprinkle. So, Larry, are you ready?
I'm ready. You going to tell me or I'm going to tell you?
I'm going to tell you.
All right.
Next break, you can tell me.
Okay.
What did the sea say to the sand? Don't read my answer.
No, I'm not going to see the prompter. So, yeah. What does it say?
Nothing. It just waved.
Oh,
So this morning, hey, we want to hear your best jokes. Text us, 704.
How does the hurricane see? With one eye.
That's good.
What is?
I bet you have a lot of weather jokes.
I got a lot of many more.
Okay, 704-329-3600. Text us your jokes. Maybe we'll read them throughout the morning. Welcome back to WCNC Charlotte. Live pictures this morning from App State. Larry Sprinkle is going to have a check on your forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Here's what's happening across the Carolinas. A 27-year-old Florida woman has been reported missing in South Carolina. Jessica Rapses was last seen on Tuesday traveling through the Palmetto State from Jacksonville when she got lost. Police found her car near railroad tracks but have not been able to find her. A Greensboro man was stuck in a foreign country for 14 hours without a passport. Dimas Enriquez says he got on an American Airlines flight from Puerto Rico to Miami with the final stop in North Carolina when bad weather diverted the plane to the Bahamas. After spending hours at the airport, he and his friends drove 12 hours back to Greensboro. Neighbors around Columbia could see changes to an ordinance involving golf carts. The city says the main issue is public safety and the use of them as taxis. They say it's unsafe to have more people than seats and no seat belts. And that's what's happening across the Carolinas.
This summer, a new federal law is seeking solutions to stillbirths. WCNC Charlotte's Nick Sturdivant spoke to a Lincoln County couple working to make a change.
From tragedy to prayers answered.
Because we're not asking for money. We're just asking for acknowledgement.
Since 2018, Tamika and Brandon Isaac have used their darkest days as a guiding light to help others.
Two weeks before everything just happened, Jace was measuring, and that's a symptom of something going on with Jace.
Jace is Brandon and Tamika's son.
The next week, he failed a non-stress test. Again, something going on. I went to get an ultrasound. They told me he was fine. That Monday, our son had passed away, and I was dying myself.
After more than a month in the hospital and several surgeries, Tamika and Brandon left the hospital together without Jace.
So when we say these things can be prevented, so Jace's death could have been prevented had they intervened when he was measuring small, had they intervened when he failed a non-stress test.
It's why the couple started Jace's journey, going from expectant parents to advocates for stillbirth prevention. Jace's Journey is a nonprofit that raises awareness and works to improve maternal fetal health care disparities. For Brandon, it's been therapeutic.
It has kind of helped the healing journey. As you go along the journey, you don't see as many fathers speaking out about it or giving their perspective of it. So that it has helped other fathers in their healing journey.
According to Healthy Birthday Incorporated, fewer than 20 state health departments in the U.S. are using a portion of existing funds to address stillbirth. Right now, North Carolina doesn't have programs in place focused on stillbirth prevention.
These disparities exist regardless of what you think, did I go to all my appointments or questions that people ask?
But for Brandon and Tamika, along with the many families and organizations advocating for change, there was finally some light to this situation.
Being able to advocate for this and actually seeing it come to fruition was amazing. It's like, okay, policy, did it actually work?
In July, President Joe Biden signed the bipartisan Maternal and Child Health Stillbirth Prevention Act, which clarifies that current funding through the Maternal and Child Health Services Block Grant can be used for stillbirth prevention activities.
You hear people putting out, introducing bills all the time and never seeing anything happen from it. So to be a witness to something actually being put in place was amazing.
Reporting for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Nick Sturdivant.
Well, WCNC Charlotte is always looking to highlight how our community is tackling local problems. Let us know what you're seeing in your neighborhood. Email us at newstips@wcnc.com. Well, Hurricane Ernesto now a Category 2 storm as it heads towards Bermuda. Right now, they have a hurricane warning in place. Tropical storm conditions are expected to begin this afternoon and produce 6 to 12 inches of rain on the island. According to the National Hurricane Center, the storm, as of late last night, had maximum winds of 100 miles per hour. Right now, Ernesto's track will continue to move northeast. As of this morning, Ernesto is expected to stay in the water and not make landfall in the Carolinas, even though we will see the impacts if you're headed to the coast.
It's no threat really to the
just rip currents if you are doing a last-minute vacation.
It's out of the Atlantic Ocean, so no one should have any major concern about hurricane-force winds or heavy rain or anything like that. And the latest we have is the 5 AM advisory. Not last night. We have the very latest. Let's look at it right now and tell you exactly what's going on with Ernesto. Commute this morning. Let's get a check on your traffic right now.
Yeah, so right now we don't see any major delays across the map, but we have two accidents we're focusing on this morning.
Still ahead on WCNC Charlotte, we're connecting the dots on why Charlotte's Pride Parade takes place in August and not during Pride Month. Plus, Science on the Rocks is back. We have what you need if you're looking for something to do tonight or this weekend. Welcome back to WCNC Charlotte. Here's a live look over Uptown this morning. Larry Sprinkle is going to have a check on your Friday forecast and how your weekend is shaping up, coming up in just a few minutes. Here's some ways you can get out and enjoy the weekend. Today, Discovery Place Science is hosting their monthly adult program, Science on the Rocks, in Uptown. The series will give people a chance to see live science shows as well as hands-on science projects. You must be at least 21 to attend. Tonight's event starts at 6 p.m. If you would like to buy tickets, you can visit our website, WCNC.com. Well, this morning, organizers and volunteers are getting ready for Charlotte Pride. More than 250,000 people are expected to be in Uptown. There will be events throughout the weekend, but the parade will take place on Sunday. Today, we're expecting to hear from CMPD on how the department is working to keep everyone safe this weekend.
A lot of people in town. Big event going on.
And the weather's going to be nice?
Well, I would say for the parade, just be prepared. I think the later in the afternoon, the better chance we could see a few pop-up storms out there. So just, have that rain gear handy, as we always like to say, for the upcoming weekend. All
right, Larry, thank you. Well, breaking overnight, an escaped murderer back behind bars this morning after days on the run. What we've learned while you were sleeping. Plus, cat lovers coming together to show their support for Harris, what they did, and the impact the election is having.
Weather-wise today, it's going to be warming up. We'll hit the upper 80s and only the slightest chance of storms today. That full 7-day forecast coming up in a few minutes right here on WCNC Charlotte.
Right now at 8 a.m., 1 year later, we're following the case of Alicia Watts after her body was found near a cemetery. We're going to tell you the latest in the case. Plus, an attempted robbery. This morning, the help police are asking from the public to catch these suspects. And a North Carolina woman is suing a phone company after they allegedly gave her information to her stalker. The lawsuit Verizon Wireless is now facing. WCNC Charlotte at 8 a.m. starts right now. Well, happy Saturday morning to you. We're starting with a live look over Uptown Charlotte. Things looking good out there. The sun is up. That means the day is getting going. And we thank you for starting it with us. I'm Kaitlin Hagwood. Have Chris Mulcahy in for Brittany today. Chris, I went to Starbucks. I saw the sign outside the door. It said fall is here, but you say not so soon.
They're misleading you. You can enjoy the flavor, but don't think that fall weather we just had is going to linger. It'll be back. Probably in October, but now we're the opposite now. We've been around 80 degrees. The mid-90s are coming, but there's also a change. You're not going to like this news. And I'm sorry I'm starting your morning off like this.
All right, Chris, thank you. Today marks 1 year since authorities discovered the body of Alicia Watts near a cemetery in the town of Norman. The discovery came more than a month after she vanished, and right now her boyfriend, James Dunmore, remains behind bars charged in her murder. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards has the latest on the case.
The last time Dunmore was in court, a judge upheld his bond at $1 million. He's still in jail today ahead of his trial for the murder of Alicia Watts. Watts was last seen on July 18th, 2023, after leaving Dunmore's Charlotte home. The couple had tickets to a comedy show at Bojangles Coliseum that night, but did not attend. She was reported missing the next day, and 6 days later, authorities found her car in Anson County with Dunmore inside. It wasn't until August 24th, though, that investigators found her body. They located the remains in a cemetery near the town of Norman, all the way in Montgomery County. Dunmore was arrested in Charlotte, and the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office charged him with murder. Since Watt's body was found, her family has continued to press for justice, even as Dunmore's attorney at one point called for his bond to be lowered. Dunmore's ex-wife made an appearance in court in June, saying he should stay behind bars.
No, I do not want him out. And that's why I placed a restraining order on him. I'm concerned about my safety as well.
Dunmore will stay in jail until his trial begins. A date for the trial has not yet been set, but he will be in court again next month. For WCNC Charlotte, I'm Destiny Richards.
All right, Destiny, thank you. This morning, Gastonia police are asking for your help. They say these three masked criminals burst into two different gas stations on Monday, armed with weapons. If you take a look at this video, this is inside the Times turnaround store as the men approach the cash register, guns out. A fourth person was in this getaway car parked outside, a black Nissan Altima with dark tinted windows and blacked out wheels. 20 minutes later, police were alerted to another possible robbery, this time at a Circle K about 6 miles away in Belmont. They believe the same group was behind it. So if you see anyone that looks like this, they say that you should reach out to them. But first, let's hear from folks in the area.
You gotta be vigilant, but me personally do not go to these search things at night. It can happen in daytime also, but you gotta stay vigilant.
Well, we have reached out to Belmont PD for more details. Haven't heard back from that agency, but Gastonia Police says they're offering a $1,000 reward for any information that leads to an arrest. Turning now to a major headache this morning in the foothills. US 321 northbound has remained closed, and at this hour near the town of Granite Falls, we were told that it was not expected to reopen until 8 a.m. this morning. So it is 8 a.m. We've reached out for more information to see if there have been any changes in this. This all comes after a water main break yesterday afternoon. Now, the town is on a boil water advisory and water pressure may be low. So the people who live in that area, you're asked not to flush toilets or use water from hot water heaters until that water supply is restored. Meanwhile, this morning, we've learned who was killed in a major crash off I-45. Police say 29-year-old Brian Battle was hit and killed Thursday on the Mount Holly Road ramp while talking with officers about a stolen car. Investigators say a motorhome ran into Battle along with multiple police vehicles. 2 officers were also hurt and taken to the hospital. No charges have been filed as of this morning. North Carolina and 7 other states are now on board with a federal lawsuit. They're accusing software firm RealPage of helping landlords band together to keep your rent high. If you take a look at this map on their website, the gray dots show the apartments in our area using the software. The Justice Department says the algorithm allows landlords to align their prices and avoid competition that would otherwise keep rent down. In a statement this morning, RealPage says that the claims were, quote, devoid of merit and will do nothing to make housing more affordable. Also this morning, Verizon facing a lawsuit after allegedly handing over a woman's address to her stalker. Federal prosecutors say Robert Glauner created a fake search warrant and impersonated a police officer to get a North Carolina woman's phone number and address. Cary police say Glauner was arrested at the woman's home carrying a knife and a rope. The lawsuit says the woman blocked Glauner on her phone after their online relationship fizzled out, but he allegedly continued to harass her.
He was given her address. He was given her contacts. It was a harassment campaign that was only made possible by the release of this information.
Well, our colleagues at WRAL have reached out to Verizon for a statement and have not heard back yet. As for Glauner, he now faces a list of federal charges in this case. Well, this morning, we're learning South Carolina has set the date for what would be the state's first execution in more than 13 years. On September 20th, Freddie Owens will likely have the choice to die by lethal injection, electrocution, or newly added firing squad. Owens killed a store clerk in Greenville in 1997. South Carolina hasn't put anyone to death since its supply of lethal injection drugs expired after a 2011 execution. Now, also today, North Carolina's highest court says a racetrack that closed for defying state gathering limits during the pandemic can now sue the state's top health regulator. The state Supreme Court says Ace Speedway in Alamance County can seek financial damages. Its owners claim they were targeted by Governor Cooper because they spoke out against the state's crowd restrictions. But state attorneys disagree and say the Speedway repeatedly and publicly violated the law. Well, stay with us here on WCNC Charlotte. Cause for concern? We're going to connect the dots on why concerns over the job market and economy may not have any merit. Plus ahead on Sunday Today.
Good morning. Tomorrow morning on Sunday Today, my conversation with one of the stars of the hit series Abbott Elementary, Cheryl Lee Ralph, on the role as a kindergarten teacher that is giving her a well-deserved moment and an Emmy in her long, storied career. A Sunday sit-down with Cheryl Lee Ralph, plus the morning's latest headlines and another life well lived, all ahead tomorrow morning on Sunday Today. We hope to see you then.
Well, before we head to break, we're celebrating back to school, and we want to see your students' pictures. You can text us 704-329-3600, and we'll be sharing them Monday morning right here on WCNC Charlotte from 4:30 to 7. Time to connect the dots and we make the news make sense. More than a fourth of Americans say they're looking for a new job this morning. But why this sudden increase? Sarah French explains.
A new survey from the New York Federal Reserve finds 28% of people are looking for a job right now. That's the highest we've seen in 10 years. Let's connect the dots. Experts say it's evidence that the outlook on the economy is getting worse. While unemployment is still relatively low, sitting at 4.3% as of this morning, it's still higher than the 3.5% we saw during the pandemic. Simply put, people are worried they could lose their jobs soon. With high-profile layoffs being widely reported on social media sites like LinkedIn, new data reveals that the likelihood of being unemployed is now at its highest point since 2014, rising to 4.4% from 3.9% a year ago. But experts say a lot of these concerns come without merit, with the rate of job openings still above pre-pandemic highs. And more than 80% of adults between 25 and 54 are currently employed. And that's connecting the dots.
What a weird summer, right? We were historically hot, historically dry, historically wet. Now we're dry again. You need to water the lawn, the plants over the coming days. But outside of this stretch, rain chances increase. I'll let you know when, coming up.
All right, Chris, great weather today for a little dancing. And here's a reason to smile. The nonprofit Friends for Special Needs Prom is happening tonight at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. 450 guests have registered, along with more than 250 parents and caregivers and hundreds of volunteers to create this magical experience. They will have 2 live bands, photo booths, and interactive exhibits. Let's turn now to that WCNC Charlotte weather impact forecast on your Saturday. Impact-wise, I don't know that we're going to have any huge impacts other than a beautiful day.
No, you're not going to hear me say the word impact besides we're the weather impact team. Yeah, and this recent stretch, it's been delightful, but did you know we've actually been part of history?
Oh, really?
Say what? Yeah, this is actually one of the coolest stretches that we've ever had here in August.
Well, good weather for some football, high school football, kicking off with a big comeback. Nick's going to have more on that after the break.
Bryce Young and the starters getting out there today for a series or two against the Bills in Buffalo. Head coach Dave Canales ultimately deciding to get the regulars some time on the field before things get real in New Orleans in Week 1.
Right now at 6 a.m., Labor Day travel rush. Over the next 12 hours, millions will head out for the Labor Day weekend. We are live at Charlotte Douglas with how it may impact your plans.
Plus, a Gastonia shelter closing its doors for good.
It's very important to me because sometimes I don't really have anything to eat.
The impact this will have for dozens in the community who need the food.
After a very hot Labor Day weekend, a big temperature drop next week. All the details coming up right here.
New concerns this morning.
It was kind of scary just because of the fact that I know that there's kids in this neighborhood.
After someone fired bullets at homes in a quiet North Charlotte neighborhood. We spoke with neighbors about what they saw just before it happened.
And your next pay raise may be a little less than you were expecting.
Coming up at 6:15, we connect the dots on why companies say the era of overpaying talent may be over. It is Friday, August 30th.
News that impacts you. You're watching WCNC Charlotte News at 6.
Happy Friday, folks. We're taking a live look right now over uptown from our view camera. And it's going to be another hot day with temps feeling like they're close to the triple digits on what a lot of folks see as the unofficial last weekend of summer, believe it or not. Thanks for starting your Friday with us here. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Sarah French. Our team is standing by, getting you ready for the day. Destiny Richards in for Chris Mulcahy with a look at your morning commute. But let's begin with Larry Sprinkle and a check on that WCNC weather impact forecast.
Hey, good morning. It's Friday morning, by the way, Sunday, 1st day of September. That is the beginning of meteorological fall. That's what we're talking about. This we base things on temperatures, so it really is more logical to look at it that way. Hey, from Kannapolis, North Carolina, from the Mr. Sparky Carolina Camera Network, it is a fair sky morning out there. It's mild, it's muggy. Temperature readings include a cooler 61 degrees over at Boone. Right now, Salisbury 73. That's matched at Lancaster in South Carolina. 75 here in the Queen City, and a fair skies out there. A mild and muggy morning. Other readings across the region include Cheraw, South Carolina 72, 70 Shelby, and 64 up at Jefferson and West Jefferson in the North Carolina High Country. Here we go the next several days, mid-90s today, and then look at next Tuesday, 78 for a high temperature. We'll have all the details on this come up, but right now let's go over the details on your Friday morning commute. Here's Destiny. Getting busy on the streets this morning.
It is getting a little bit busy, but the good thing is we haven't seen any major crashes or accidents that'll be impacting you at 6 o'clock this morning. But of course, we're keeping an eye on things. Just one thing to talk about up in North Charlotte, a road obstruction on Sunset Road between Statesville Road and Millhaven Lane. It is in the red because right now it is expected to cause stop and go traffic if it isn't already. Not sure what that road obstruction is right now, but of course, we'll keep you updated on anything we learn.
Destiny, thanks. Happening today, the Labor Day travel chaos will hit its peak, really. Whether you're driving or flying, expect traffic jams on the roads and long lines at the airport.
If you plan on driving, AAA says the worst time to leave is between 2 and 6. And if you're headed to the airport, you may want to leave a little early today. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane joins us from Charlotte Douglas, where things are already picking up there. Good morning, Richard.
Yeah, good morning to you. Good Friday morning, everyone. Yeah, if you're trying to come to the airport and you have a flight, let's say it's supposed to leave in about 2 hours, you need to already be here. Those TSA checkpoint lines, as we're taking a look, are really beginning to grow. They're stretching half of the corridor. That's the checkpoint one, all the way down at the other end. That is the case. Take a look at some of the traffic as Ruben pans over. These are folks getting dropped off. So imagine if you had parking. The parking decks are also being filled up. As we take a look at video, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're trying to get away and go to the beach, if you're trying to take a flight to the beach or to someplace tropic, or if you're going to get behind the wheel of your car, you're going to have a lot of company this Labor Day weekend. AAA says that we're expecting a 9% increase.
Well, I'm going to stay home and hang around the lake and enjoy myself all weekend.
I'm going to stay in town actually for Labor Day and study. The traffic's pretty bad every day anyway, so I'm not trying to get out there and get stuck in that.
Anytime, day or night, I try to stay off of 77, particularly Labor Day weekend.
Some good advice. So if you have to travel, the best time to do so is this afternoon or late evening if you're taking to the road. If you're coming to the airport, give yourself plenty of time. Give it an extra 30 to 40 minutes normally than you would. Domestically, they say 2 hours. Internationally, 3 hours. So give it an extra 30 or 45 minutes extra if you're traveling today. That's the story right here at Charlotte Douglas. We'll send it back to you.
Turning to a developing story this morning, investigators are now offering a $25,000 reward for information on the disappearance of Madalena Kochikari. Madalena was last seen on November 21st, 2022, but her mother and stepfather didn't report her missing until 3 weeks later. Madalena's mother, Diana, served nearly a year and a half in jail before pleading guilty in May for failing to report her missing. Madalena's stepfather, Christopher Palmer, was found guilty on the same charge. A judge sentenced him to 30 months probation.
Neighbors in North Charlotte on edge this morning after someone fired nearly a dozen gunshots into a home. Take a look at this map. It happened near Panglemont and Chandler Haven Drives. WCNC Charlotte went to the scene to talk to neighbors who showed us several bullet holes on a garage door and at least 2 others inside a home. Neighbors say it was hit in that crossfire.
There was 2 cars. They were driving by and they were speeding through, maybe going like 50, 60 miles per hour. And we had yelled out to them to slow down. They started yelling back at us, and they made a left-hand turn at the stop sign here, and within 60 seconds, you just heard a whole bunch of gunfire going off.
And the thing is, neighbors tell us it's scary because the neighborhood is full of kids. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, but as of this morning, police don't have any suspects.
New this morning, Charlotte-Mecklenburg leaders say classes will continue despite air conditioning issues at several schools. All week, we've heard from frustrated parents who say classroom temperatures are reaching the 90s due to HVAC issues. But in an email to parents last night, the district says leaders met yesterday and decided to finish classes this week. For now, they've installed portable air units and fans and will periodically check classrooms to make sure they're not getting too hot. As the new school year gets underway, a new report this morning reveals which North Carolina school districts are facing the worst teacher shortages. The good news is that CMS is improving from last year. In 2023, it ranked 43rd out of 115 districts for teacher vacancies. But this year, CMS says it has 97% of those roles filled. However, Rowan Salisbury schools ranked 114th last year with only 83% filled. And Thomasville came in at 115.
Starting tomorrow, hot meals will no longer be served for those facing homelessness in Gastonia. The Salvation Army shelter is set to close its doors for good. This morning, all 34 people who use that shelter have been moved into permanent housing. But there are still others who really depend on the shelter services. We spoke with folks impacted by this transition who asked that we not show their face on camera.
It's very important to me because sometimes I don't really have anything to eat. So I come up here and get in line to get me some groceries and stuff. And it really helps me a lot.
It would be very difficult. Because I'm retired and I only get paid once a month, so it helps a whole lot. Believe me, brother, it helps a whole lot.
While there'll no longer be any hot meals available, the Salvation Army will continue to provide drive-through food pantry and the clothing closet on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and emergency financial assistance Monday through Friday.
Meantime, Facebook's parent company Meta announced it's building a new facility in South Carolina. The company will invest $1 billion to build a new data center in Aiken County. That's just southwest of Columbia. The 715,000 square foot building is expected to open by spring of 2027 and will be home to about 100 jobs. It will also operate with 100% renewable energy. This morning, we're learning the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office has settled a lawsuit over gun permit delays. Activists argued the Sheriff's Office violated a federal ruling by taking too long to process applications. The Sheriff's Office will now pay part of the plaintiff's attorney fees.
Looking ahead now, on Tuesday, Charlotte City leaders will vote on spending $91 million to buy tracks for the long-awaited Red Line. It would run from Charlotte to Davidson with room to expand. But the price comes at a cost. It would likely mean a 30-year-old plan for a silver line connecting Matthews to Uptown. Well, it'd be scrapped. Instead, it would be replaced perhaps by a rapid bus system. On this weekend's Flashpoint, the mayor of Matthews says there is no way he is going to support this change.
I can't urge my constituents. We do these great, bold designs, and then at the end of the day, we don't end up building them.
We also talked to one of the architects of the plan about why he believes Charlotte needs the Red Line first and foremost. That's coming up Sunday at 11 a.m. on Flashpoint. 6:10 now. All right, Larry Sprinkle, what is that one thing we need to know in weather?
One thing about the weather situation today, heat's on again. We're around 92 degrees at 5 o'clock, right in the middle of the afternoon. Destiny, what's one thing about that commute this morning?
One thing to know about the commute is that we don't have any major delays on our main highways this morning. So good news if you're going to work or starting that long day of Labor Day weekend travel. But we do have one obstruction in the roadway. This is hanging around on Sunset Road between Statesville Road and Millhaven Lane. We'll keep you updated.
Dusty, thanks. Up next, are you looking to buy a house soon? Still to come here on WCNC Charlotte, we'll tell you how mortgage rates are changing and how it could impact the housing market.
Plus, paycheck payback. We connect the dots on why businesses are regaining leverage and what it means for your job.
And here's a question. Do you think folks here in Charlotte are rude? We'll tell you where we landed on a list of the rudest cities in the country.
And as we go to break, WCNC Charlotte is working to clear the shelters. One of the pets we are highlighting is the adorable Bast from the Greater Charlotte SPCA. He's a 2-year-old Chihuahua Greyhound mix, about 12 pounds, gets along with other dogs. You can reach out to the shelter now if you'd like to adopt him, and make sure to join us on Saturday, September 7th. We'll be out at CMPD Animal Care and Control helping more pets get adopted. You can scan the QR code on your screen right now or text the word pets to 704-329-3600.
Time now to connect the dots. When we make the news make sense, bosses are trying to reset worker pay levels after that big boost post-pandemic job boom.
Companies say the era of overpaying for talent is over. Let's connect the dots. Pay for many white-collar jobs shrank last year, even as salaries for blue-collar workers rose. But now, even blue-collar sectors are feeling the pinch. Roles that once offered salaries between $175,000 and $200,000 a year are now being offered for tens of thousands of dollars less. Companies now also moving jobs to lower-cost cities. The change reflects a power shift as the job market cools. Job seekers had the leverage for years after the pandemic, but now businesses are being much pickier about who they hire and for how much. In addition to cutting salaries, some companies are even looking to hire inexperienced workers who they can pay less. And that is Connecting the Dots.
Some good news this morning for folks in the market for a new home. Mortgage rates are now at a 15-month low, falling to 6.2% for a 30-year loan and 5.4% for a 15-year. The decline comes as the job market cools and the Fed looks to finally cut interest rates. Meantime, it looks like airlines are finally starting to recover after years of struggling during the pandemic. According to the Transportation Department, flight cancellations this year are below pre-pandemic levels. So far, airlines have canceled just 1.5% of flights. That's lower than in 2022 and even before the pandemic. The improvement comes amid the busiest summer travel season on record. Larry?
Let's talk about what's happening at the moment.
We'll get to Larry in just a minute. First, though, some political news. Decision 2024. Despite dropping out of the presidential race, you may still see Robert F. Kennedy on your ballot this fall. North Carolina's We the People Party asked to remove his name after he dropped out of the race and endorsed Mr. Trump. But the North Carolina Board of Elections rejected the proposal. Well, Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Walz making headlines this morning for his visit to Raleigh, but not for the reason you may think. The Minnesota governor stopping by North Carolina staple cookout with Governor Roy Cooper. With more than 40 milkshakes to choose from, Walz went with a safe bet and got mint chocolate chip.
Oh, yum, that's a good one.
Our governor went with M&M, so a little bit better. I would say, gentlemen, where's your sense of adventure? You had 2 days left to get the famous summer staple watermelon milkshake. It only lasts through August.
Watermelon milkshake?
That's right.
Okay.
Larry, it's legendary at Cookout.
Maybe I need to try that.
But it's only for the summer.
Okay.
But
Okay.
They went the safe bet. That's fine.
The mint
I
chocolate
also
chip
say
is
the
good.
blueberry cheesecake one is quite delightful.
That sounds really good.
That sounds
Yeah.
good. Now I'm ready to go. I'm ready to
There you
go
go.
get some milkshake.
Not my turn,
Yum.
right?
There you go. Now,
There we go. Let's talk about that weather situation. It's a reality. What's going on for your Labor Day weekend? Tomorrow around 93 degrees. Let's get a check out a real old-fashioned Friday morning commute. See what's happening out there. Here's Destiny.
Yeah, well, just like we would expect at this time of day, we've got traffic moving this morning on I-77 near Uptown.
here's a question. Do you ever feel like folks here in Charlotte are rude? Well, a new study is proving, yes, it's true. We'll tell you where Charlotte ranks on the list of rudest cities in the country coming up in just minutes.
And later at 6:45, as the Paralympics continue, we're verifying if guides who help visually impaired athletes also get a medal.
6:24 right now on the clock, and we have a recall this morning you need to know about, especially if you have small kids. Take a look at your screen right here. Fisher-Price recalling this dumbbell toy because of a possible choking hazard as part of the baby biceps gift set. Toy maker says gray caps on the end of the dumbbell can come off. It's sold at several major locations, including Walmart and Target. If you have one, contact Fisher-Price for a full refund.
New this morning, we still have a few years until the next Summer Olympics, but Flava Flav is already thinking about what his future holds when the time comes. The rapper says he had so much fun at the Paris Games that he's already applied to be a U.S. torchbearer for the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. He got a lot of recognition this summer for his support of U.S. athletes, especially the women's teams.
Well, listen to this. A new study this morning shows Charlotte of all places, one of the rudest cities in America. Researchers considered everything from playing music out loud instead of headphones, which can be annoying, to lack of self-awareness walking down a grocery aisle. Overall, Charlotte was named 10th rudest city in the country, beating out places like New York City and L.A. For those curious, Miami came in at #1. So this morning, we want to know what you think about the results. Is Charlotte really that rude? Really? Text us 704-329-3600.
I don't believe it at all.
No.
Come on.
Boy, whoever said that's very rude.
I
That's a
know.
rude thing to say.
How
What's
rude.
the attribution for that? Who you talk to?
Some companies
Some company.
that don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Probably from the north.
Yeah, right. On a Friday morning of all time.
Yes, the weekend is here. This is Labor Day weekend. You're talking about it. Not sure. We're coming after you. Weather-wise, as we take a look at the next several days, in the 90s until we get to next Tuesday. How about that? 78 degrees. All the details on your what's the opposite of rude? Very
generous.
Yes, we're generous. Generous forecast is in a few minutes.
That's right.
Generous.
Generous.
Here at CNC Show. We're very generous.
Very.
Have some money.
The first week of school is almost over for CMS students, but one principal has already resigned. We'll tell you which school and who it is ahead at 6:30.
Plus, we'll introduce you to a local nonprofit that's seeking solutions to help kids with incarcerated parents and keep them out of the system. Right now at 6:30, Labor Day travel now in full swing as of this morning. We are live at the airport with a look at how traffic and weather could impact your weekend plans.
Plus, the fight to keep bus rapid transit out of his neighborhood, why one mayor is taking a stand against it.
A mild start, but a big warm-up. Your full forecast coming up right here.
And the Paralympics are now underway this morning. We're verifying if the guides who help some of the visually impaired athletes, if those guides also get medals as well. WCNC Charlotte at 6:30 starts right now.
News that impacts you. You're watching WCNC Charlotte News at 6:30.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. You're taking a live look over App State this morning. Going to be another hot day with feel-like temperatures in the triple digits. But don't worry, cooler temps are on the way soon. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Sarah French.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Do we consider this the last Friday of summer?
I think so, right?
Technically, I think, or not technically.
After Labor Day,
unofficially.
we're ready for fall.
That's right. We are ready for pumpkin spice lattes. Our team standing by, getting ready for the day and for the weekend as well, maybe even the fall. Destiny is standing by with a check of your morning commute. But first, let's get a check of that forecast with WCNC Charlotte's Larry Sprinkle.
Hey, good morning. Yes, this coming Sunday, the first day of September, is the beginning of meteorological fall. We base that on temperatures, which is more logical and more reasonable. So, yeah, that's exactly right. Take a look at our camera over in Kannapolis with Mr. Sparky Carolina Camera Network. Just a few fair weather clouds out there, a hint of the sun peeking through, the golden hue in the sky out there. 75 are current temperature readings, so not a bad start to morning. 75 right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Across the area, we're looking at still warm, not quite as hot. Scattered late day storms again like we saw yesterday, and then a big cool down as we get into next week. And that's in advance of what's going to happen today. Hot and humid. Noontime 89 degrees. Middle of the afternoon, we'll be in the low to mid 90s. Storm chance around 8 p.m. this evening. That's the weather word. Let's get a check right now on your Friday morning commutes. Here's Destiny.
Well, traffic is a moving and a shuffling this morning on I-77. This is southbound at mile marker 7, so near Uptown. And we're seeing, just more people on the roads right now. There could be even more because people are leaving out for their Labor Day weekend travel. But just one thing to tell you about this morning, we do have a little bit of a slowdown here. This obstruction on the roadway, you could kind of see that red line there on Sunset Road between Statesville Road and Mill Haven Lane. So if you're on, if you're in North Charlotte and in this area, just be aware that that is causing some backups this morning, but everywhere else looks pretty good right now.
Destiny, thanks. Well, with that in mind, Labor Day travel now in full swing, as you can tell, as millions get ready to pack airports nationwide. A record 12 million people are expected to fly just over the next few days.
And Charlotte Douglas is expected to be one of the busiest airports in the country. And that's where we find WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane. Richard, looks very crowded behind you there.
It is very crowded indeed, Sarah. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning, everyone. For perspective, Ruben's going to show you this line, which is stretching. This is checkpoint 1 all the way, halfway down the concourse. And it comes, now he's going to take you as the folks get in line there, all the way here. They just added these yellow or greenish ropes, and folks are winding through this. It's taken about 20-30 minutes just to get through these little ropes before they get into the actual TSA checkpoint area. That's how long it's going to take. Some of these folks will probably be in here 30-40 minutes, so that just underscores how important it is for you. If you're traveling today via Charlotte Douglas, get here as soon as you can. Don't give yourself 2 hours to get here. Give yourself more time than that. An estimated 315,000 they say will go through Charlotte Douglas, either connections, departing, or arrivals this weekend. But I'm telling you right now, the lines are extremely long. This is one of those busy times as folks try to catch those first early flights, not the earliest flights, but those 9-10 o'clock a.m. flights. And I've been looking at the boards and checking the manifests. A lot of the flights are already full, so you're going to have a lot of company. You're going to need to pack your patience, as we always say. Give yourself extra time. Most of the parking decks are already beginning to fill up. A couple of them are a few cars away from being locked. That's long-term parking 1. The north parking deck is also closed right now. So it's important for you to check those apps out. Also, if you're coming, the best advice is to get dropped off here. Best advice would be have somebody standing in line for you for a few hours, so you can just walk up and say you know them and get in line that way. I don't know. Pack your patience. If you're coming to the airport, have a safe Labor Day weekend, and good luck. Back to you.
I don't think that is an option for you to do.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll legally let you do that.
They do now. They do that at restaurants. Okay. They do that at restaurants.
Not at a restaurant.
I won't.
I just don't want the people
That's
to get in
why
trouble.
I'm so hungry.
That's right. That's right. Right.
Yeah, we don't want that. I was just joking. Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that.
Thank you.
Bye.
New this morning, an investigation is underway after a small plane made an emergency landing on a Greensboro highway. Take a look at this video. It happened Wednesday night. The pilot reported a mechanical failure before landing on the westbound lanes of Interstate 840. Once the plane landed, a car clipped its wing, causing minor damage to both. Greensboro police say 2 people were on board at the time, and one was taken to the hospital. They are expected to be okay. Well, this isn't the first plane to make an emergency landing on a highway, and maybe you've heard the rumor that every interstate has straight stretches so planes can land.
But is that actually true? We wanted to verify. The U.S. Federal Highway Administration has an entire page on their website for these questions, including the myth that for every 5 miles of interstate, 1 mile has to be straight just in case of emergency landings. However, the site says there is no basis for this claim in laws, regulation, or design. So while airplanes do occasionally land on interstates, we cover that news when it happens. It's not because the roads are actually designed for that purpose.
Developing this morning, we're now learning the principal of Hopewell High School in Huntersville has resigned just before the start of the school year. LaDwan Pratt was suspended with pay, but we're still working to find out why. James Vonisdale has been named the new principal.
This morning, Mooresville parents raising some concerns over a camera that's pointed directly at a school bathroom. Take a look for yourself right here. A viewer sent us this photo of a security camera in the top part of your screen looking directly into an open Mooresville High School bathroom. Now, the school tells us the camera is actually part of a system that detects vape smoke, but parents are kind of worried about how it impacts student privacy.
In case something does happen in those schools, now there's no doors, or the doors are stuck open, and they can't even go to the bathrooms for safety.
Now, in a statement, school leaders say that door that you see right there can be shut at any time, and that they are willing to adjust the system if needed.
An important update this morning. North Carolina's Environmental Department is now asking the EPA to designate 4 forever chemicals as hazardous air pollutants. The state says making that change would close a gap in regulations and make it possible to tackle an additional part of the PFAS life cycle.
As Charlotte's transportation debate heats up, the Matthews mayor is calling for a summit among local leaders. He wants to stop efforts for a bus transit system that would connect Matthews all the way up to Uptown. It's a compromise county leaders are considering instead of the Silver Line light rail project.
Charlotte leaders spent Thursday in southern Florida looking at the South Dade Transitway, a 20-mile, $300 million project still not finished.
City Council here in Charlotte still planning to vote next week on buying tracks for the Red Line, which would run all the way up to Davidson. We take a deep dive into the issue this Sunday, 11 a.m. on Flashpoint. A nonprofit is seeking solutions to give kids with incarcerated parents a different choice for themselves. The nonprofit Proverbs 22:6 is working to transform Anson Correction Institution into a trade school instead. Right now, there are more than 20,000 kids across North Carolina with parents in jail. The trade school says it's working to stop generational incarceration through education.
We need to bring education back into the life of these children. We're going to have 5 trades. We're going to start with welding from digital arts, so they will know how to do video and audio editing.
Stop the cycle. The school is set to open October 15th and will be free for all students. If you'd like to learn more details about registration, you can visit our website, WCNC.com. 6:41 right now on the clock. Larry Springle, what is that one thing we need to know in weather?
One thing today, that UV index is high. It's up there to 10 scale, burn time at about 15 minutes. Now, what's the one thing about the commute this morning, Destiny?
The one thing to know is that we don't have any major delays out there. Things are mostly smooth on our highways, but I do need to apologize because the road obstruction I was talking about before, we actually need to move up a little bit more north onto Sunset Road between Statesville and Millhaven. This is the right place. I was due for a directional error at some point, but it's only causing a little bit of a slowdown right there, a little orange line. So just be aware of that. Not causing as much of an issue this morning, but of course we'll keep an eye on it.
All right, sounds good. Destiny, thanks. Up next, a woman takes deputies on a chase in a stolen ambulance. We'll show you how it all ends coming up in just minutes.
And do guides who help visually impaired athletes also get a medal? We verify at 6:45.
Turning now to a wrap of your top stories of the day. Right now, millions of people nationwide headed out the door for the last big travel weekend of the summer. And this one's set to be one for the record books. TSA predicts air travel to increase almost 9% from last year. And while the roads will be equally busy, gas prices, they're about 40 cents cheaper than this time last year.
Investigators are now offering a $25,000 reward for information on the disappearance of Madalena Kojikari. Madalena was last seen on November 21st, 2022. Madalena's mother, Diana, pleaded guilty in May for failing to report her daughter missing, and her stepfather, Christopher Palmer, was found guilty on the same charge.
Starting tomorrow, the Gastonia Salvation Army is set to close its doors for good. All 34 people who use the emergency shelter have been moved into permanent housing. However, the Salvation Army will continue to provide drive-through food pantry assistance and the clothing closet on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and emergency financial assistance Monday through Friday.
And Charlotte-Mecklenburg leaders say classes will continue despite air conditioning issues at several schools. In an email to parents last night, the district says leaders met yesterday and decided to finish classes this week. For now, they've installed portable air units and fans and will periodically check classrooms to make sure they're not getting too hot. Destiny?
Well, traffic is definitely starting to pick up this morning on our highways. You can see crews are dealing with a stalled vehicle on I-77 South over there on the shoulder. And then we do have some accidents also on I-85 North and South. So right now, dealing with stuff on I-77 and I-85 this morning.
Dealing with the heat and the humidity again today. We're in the mid-90s. Probably going to feel like about 102, low 90s tomorrow for the weekend. I think a better chance of some showers and storms on Sunday. Monday's Labor Day is looking okay, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, next week, temperatures in the 70s.
How about that?
Yes, finally.
Folks, get excited before we leave you. This morning we're celebrating the first week of college football because today is National College Colors Day. So this morning we've been asking which team are you most excited to see play this weekend? Which colors are you going to be supporting? One person texting in Tennessee, another App State. Of course, can't forget Wake Forest, NC State. Keep chiming in, let us know. And you got the Duke Mayo Classic next weekend right here in Charlotte. How about that?
Oh, wow.
We'll have updates throughout the Today Show.
And we'll see you back here at 11:30. Have a great Friday and a wonderful weekend.